Aloha, everyone. My name is Marina. For those of you who don't know me, I'm from White Feather Wellness, and I just want to welcome everybody. I'm just so grateful that you coming on today. And for those of you watching the replay, thank you so much. And I hope that I will teach you a few things that will help to raise your vibrations and to balance emotions. So we've talked in other talks about, we've done EFT. These are meridian endpoints. We talked about that. We did some of the exercises, Ho'oponopono, with the Qigong sounds. And we also learned the 5 rhythms exercises from the Eden method. And these all help, and I do these every day when I teach classes. They all help to balance out when we're feeling unbalanced. So if we're feeling fear, we're feeling worried, we're anxious, or depressed or sad, these exercises really help. So I'm going to talk about something new today. First, I've been thinking a lot about why are we not feeling balanced emotionally? And I love this story that my Qigong teacher taught me. He said, I talked to him, and I've been to this center in China many, many times, well, maybe 10 times over the past 12 years. And I would go there oftentimes when I was having some difficulty in my life, whether it was physical or emotional or depression or whatever. And I remember him telling me this story about, he said, imagine there are 2 rooms. One room, and there's no windows. And one room, there's a door in between. One room is completely dark. The other room is filled with light. There are lights on and it's bright. He said, well, what do you think happens when you open the door between the rooms? Do you think that dark energy comes into the light room? And I thought about it and I said, no, when you open a door, the light goes into the darkness. And it's the same thing with our emotions or any kind of energy that doesn't feel good. It's there. It's always there. That's the duality that we have of life, the positive and the negative, the light and the dark. The earth is the yin and the sky is the yang. So there's always that polarity. But when you open up the door and you allow the light to come through, it can shift what's happening. It can shift your vibration. So speaking of vibration, there's lots of different ways to do it. And I'll be talking about that more towards the end. But I want to go over, first of all, the movement. Moving is really important. If you haven't done this yet today, find your K27s in the hollow, slide down and go over and dip. Rub the dip in here. So these ends of the meridian points for the kidneys, this is good. And I'm going to teach you at the end. So don't go away, because at the end, we're going to do the most important part. And you may want to have a pencil or pen and something to write on, take some notes. But the kidney points are connected with the emotion of courage. I'm going to focus on the positive emotion. So when we tap these in my class, we talk about being courageous rather than I have fear, which is kind of different from a lot of the EFT, which I'm not a specialist in that. So I'm going to focus on what I do and what works for me. So everybody rub here and tap it. Breathe, because this is the afternoon, and that's when our energy tends to dip. So this will wake you up. And it also pumps oxygen into your eyes, and it helps your vision. All right, so I'm going to teach you some simple movements. And these are all things I learned when I was studying the Eden Energy medicine work. So we'll start with one that, let's see, figure eights. Anytime you do a figure eight, we're going to be doing this, and your palm is down, then it's open, just one arm. And our sequence is 3 of these, and then we're going to drop our arm and make a circle. Every time you make circles, it expands your aura, it expands your field. So the other thing we're going to do is a zip up. You've learned that. A zip up comes up the central meridian, and it also makes you feel radiant. So we're going to zip up with one hand and then with 2 hands. Then we're going to weave the field. So put your hands up like this, and then cross and open and cross and open. Now zip up. I'm going to do this with music soon, but I'm teaching you. Cross, open. So this is kind of a modified Celtic weave. Well, it is. You're weaving. Look, I wore my Celtic necklace today, probably because I was thinking about these exercises. And the only other step you're going to do is don't tell me, 9 of Hearts. So I love this one. So all these exercises help you feel more joy and bliss. And there's a system in the body called the radiant circuits. In Chinese medicine, they call it the extraordinary vessels. You don't need to know that, but just know that this is connected with ancient old Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, indigenous wisdom and medicine. So these things are interconnected. We're just remembering them. So put your fingers on your third eye area and go up and draw a heart on your face. Do this a couple more times. And you could use 2 fingers. And I hope your kids are watching. If you have kids, bring them out because we're going to do a dance. Okay, then you come to your heart and you make a heart shape all the way down to your low belly. Come up. That's the third one. And then the biggest one, and we're going to get ready to move now. So this one, you make a gigantic heart. You go zip up, open, and then you bend down. Try that again. Zip up and down. Okay. Another thing that raises your vibration is music. Remember to turn on the music. And again, like that light that goes into the dark room, music and movement will lift you up of any dark place. Sometimes you have to force yourself to do it, but then once you get moving, it shifts things so quickly. Okay, so we're going to do a song by Jason Mraz called Living in the Moment. And I'm going to do my best not to talk during this so you can listen to the words and just follow me. Okay, you ready? So just bounce. Bouncing is good. So put your arm out, palm is down.
If this life is one act, why do we make all these tracks? We put them right in our path.
Circle.
We just want to be free. I will not waste my days thinking of all kinds of ways to worry about all the things
Circle.
that will not happen to me.
Again.
So I just let go of what I know I don't know, and I know I only do this by living in the moment, living my life easy and breezy, peace in my mind,
Both arms.
peace in my heart,
Open and cross.
peace in my soul. Wherever I'm going, I'm already living in the
Just up and
moment.
open. Now this arm.
I'm letting myself off the hook for things I've done. I let my past go past, and now I'm having no fun. I'm letting go of the thoughts that do not make me strong, and I believe this way can feel the same forever. And if I fall asleep, I know you'll be the one who'll always remind me to live in the moment, living my life easy and breezy, peace in my life,
Two arms.
peace in my heart, peace in my soul. Wherever I'm going, I'm already going.
Heart.
I can't walk through life
Big heart.
I have tried more than once to just make sure that I
Big heart.
the future I've been searching for. Swear I won't hurt no more. And living in the moment, living my life, easy and breezy, peace in my mind, peace in my heart, peace in my soul. Wherever I'm going, I'm already home. I've been living in the moment, I've been living my life. life. Got peace in my heart. Got peace in my soul. Wherever I go, I'm already there. But I'm living in the moment. I'm living my life. Easy and breezy. Peace in my mind. Peace in my heart. Peace in my soul. Whenever I'm going, I'm already there.
And you can hook that up just by belly button, middle fingers, here and between your eyebrows. Press in and pull up and breathe. So, how do you feel? Do you feel more awake, more, energetic, more vibrant? That term radiant circuits is exactly what it is. It ignites the part of you that's connected to your bliss, your joy, and makes you feel radiant. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little story. I love telling stories, and they're all true. I've learned more from my own experiences than anywhere else. So about 30 years ago, I was a single mom. I had a 2-year-old daughter. My mother, my father, my stepfather, everybody died. I had a lot of stress in my life. So I decided to move to Hawaii, back where I lived years ago, to help have my other family, my Hanai, or adopted family, help me raise Kaya, my daughter. Well, I needed to find a job. I'd been a dance teacher, and that was great when it was just me and I was living in a big city, but in a small town, I needed a job. So I had a little toddler, so I got a job as a preschool director. I took her to work with me, and that seemed really great, only I'd never done the job. It was extremely stressful, and I wasn't moving. I stopped dancing. I stopped moving my energies, which is, I think it's vitally important to my health. So what happened is I got an autoimmune disorder. Well, what is that? It's something we talked about, fight, flight, and how our immune system can't function when we're under too much stress. So basically, it was stress related, but there's nothing they could do to change it. And I went to a doctor. I could hardly move. I had pain in my body, exhaustion, couldn't remember anything. And then I wanted to go on disability. And I'm so grateful for this doctor because she told me, I'm not going to put you on disability. And I just thought that was my only choice. And I asked her why. And she said, because if I do, you will never get better. You will be disabled. Our mind is so powerful that you will not heal. And she said, so you have to get better. And something shifted in me. And I went from being a victim, or not victim, but that victim mentality that my life is over and I was never going to get better, to being, okay, I have to heal myself. All right. That was my journey 30 years ago to holistic, natural, or alternative healing. And I looked everywhere. And I studied homeopathy. But the thing that really helped me was I studied with a Hawaiian teacher of spiritual healing, and we did some physical healing. Of course, physical issues have a lot to do with our spirit and our soul and what's going on in our mind. And so he encouraged me to spend time by the ocean. And I took a little break. I worked just half a day. And in the mornings, I would go down to the ocean with my beach chair and, honau now, puoho no ohana now. Some of my Hawaiian friends know that place, very special. It's called a place of refuge. So I put my feet in the water on the sand, and he said to drink in the chi, or they call it mana in Hawaii instead of chi. It's energy, like prana, like the ki and Reiki, it's energy. So this is my first real, besides dancing, which I felt energy, my first training in energy. And he said, just drink in the chi of the ocean, bring that in, bring the sunlight into your pores, open your head and draw that energy from the sky, from source, bring it down and bring it into your body to heal your body, and bring in the earth energy up through. And, I had no energy at this time. I could barely move. And I started to notice a difference, and I wanted to learn more. So I said, can you teach me more? I want to learn how to heal with my hands. And we did practices. I studied therapeutic touch also. We did this practice just open and close. And some of you know this who are people who work with energy, but anybody can learn this. And that's what my Qigong training over the past 12 years taught me. There's points here in the center of our hands. And when we draw in Qi from the head and up through the legs, we bring it in here. So when we go to, we call this Fa Qi. It's sending Qi. I'm sending you Qi right now. Sending you all Qi. Anybody can do it. And it's better if you're physically. I do believe that energy transmits through video. And I do Zoom classes, and all my students, I feel them. And they feel each other. We create what's called a Qi field, a quantum field of energy. Okay, so nature will raise your vibration. Music, movement, and then there's some other things. I'm going to talk about a few other things that are very simple. And these come from different Native American, Native Hawaiian practices and Native North and South Americans. This is sage. Smells really good. Burning this, so your energy field can get stuck with other people's energy. I know. I worked for well over a year at a center, and I worked with people with anxiety. This was a clinical intensive outpatient program. Before they would go to a hospital, right? They came there. And every day, I taught them all these exercises, how to calm their fight flight, and how to do movements that help balance their energies. But I also put my hands on them, and I did energy medicine balancing treatments. What happened was I was starting to feel a little bit of a drain. And my acupuncturist, thank you, Dr. James, he said, I feel too many people in your field. He said, you're taking on their energy, and you're an empath. So you need to, and I'm like, well, okay, well, I know all these different ways of earthing and, how to ground. He said, go to the beach, lay down, walk on the wet sand. It wasn't warm, so I couldn't go in the water. But he said, lay down on the sand and make a sand angel instead of a snow angel. And I did. And then I also realized that I could do this just in nature, just being in nature. Yesterday, they reopened one of the parks near my house. People hadn't heard yet, so there were very few people there. And I walked along, it's called Indian Creek, and it goes to these falls, so beautiful. And no one was there, and I was just asking, even this time that we're all in right now can be a really good introspective time, but it could also be a time where people diffuse their energy by watching too much news, too much Netflix, we can just get too much. So again, blow that out. I'm going to always repeat stuff because it works. That helps with frustration or taking on too many people's energies. But nature is what really helped me. So there's sage. Now you probably didn't know this. Where's my sage leaf? Here it is. You can put a leaf of sage. He doesn't like being called a shaman, but he is from Peru. He's also a Lakota medicine man. He told us to put sage in our water, and if it's been there a lot, it'll get puffy. And when you drink it, you can taste it. I've heard, and I've done this too, you can have a crystal that's cleared by putting it out in the sunlight or full moon, salt. The Hawaiians, in my training, we took these tea leaves, pretend this is a tea leaf, and we'd have to get salt water from the ocean, and we would dip it in the salt water. To clear a room, we would go like this to every corner and use it. So before we did healings, before we did blessings, anything like that, we always cleaned it with the salt water. Also, taking some rock salt, that is sea salt, that is new, not the kind that's in your kitchen, but the kind you get brand new. You put it in a shorter glass than this, halfway, and you put it in the four corners of the room. So a lot of times when we're feeling negative emotions, they're not always ours. And this is what my acupuncturist helped me to realize, that I was getting depleted and I wasn't sleeping so well. And he said, you got to clear off these people and, get in the bathtub with Epsom salts. There's many, many techniques. And these are just a few. By the way, you can also burn regular old incense. I like this kind, good quality, the kind without chemicals. And if you're lucky enough to find sweetgrass, this stuff is amazing. And we do it when we're in a sweat lodge. We put sweetgrass on the hot rocks with water, and that smell, sage, sweetgrass, cedar. So nature has given us all these wonderful essences. And speaking of essences, where's my frankincense? I love frankincense, but here's others. I'm not selling anything, so I'm not going to tell you where I got it from, but it smells like trees. So there's many things, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. There's a lot of sage plants that are blooming right now, so go pick your own. Okay. Speaking of nature, picking. This is really, 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 really important. We had Earth Day Tuesday. To me, every day is Earth Day. But my training with these wisdom keepers has really, it's easy. It's easy to disconnect from the earth. It's easy to forget that she's our mother. And so I was taught years ago when gathering plants from my Native Hawaiian teachers that you don't just pick something. You ask the plant first. Do I have your permission to pick you? Because basically it's losing. It's like if someone came along and pulled out your hair, it's yours. So you ask permission first. And then, speaking of hair, reciprocity is also another principle in indigenous wisdom, is reciprocity. And you know what? It's in life. To receive more, we give more. And so with nature, we don't just continue to take without our ancestors prayed, they sang, they danced, they gave back with their hearts and in like a sun dance, sometimes with their blood. When they're pierced, they give their blood, they give their sweat. So there's always, I could tell you, we could have a whole conversation of that, like the giveaway after a vision quest. Doing a 2-day going solo changed my life about 8 years ago. It was 2 days of no food, no water, nothing but your clothes and a sleeping bag. Traditionally it's 2 like wool blankets, but for 4 days. And 2 days of having no distractions other than the mosquitoes. They were very distracting. Or coyotes at night walking around you. We were up high elevation in New Mexico. But without distractions, it forces you to communicate with the beings around you. So the plants are beings. So to reciprocate, and I brought tobacco with me because that was part of what we did to make prayers. But you could take your hair. Everybody has hair with them. And you put this on the plant. You just leave a strand of your DNA that's specifically yours on the plant. So remember, this time that we're in right now is, for me, a time of deeper awareness. Not just awareness into myself and who I am, but into this beautiful planet that if you ask it, it will heal you. Earth will heal you. The sky will heal you. The plants will heal you. But you always need to remember to say thank you. I love you. Here, I'm giving something back. I'll give of my time, my energy. All right. So last thing we're going to talk about, and this is where you might want to write a few things down. This is one of the most powerful tools I learned for how to shift my emotions. Not just that, how to change my reality. So it's called, you know how we tapped before, and we were tapping on points, and let's just tap this one. And the affirmation I was using a couple weeks back was, I am hopeful, vital, and fully alive. So these have to do with, these are bladder points, and sometimes when you're doubting yourself and you're not hopeful, these are points you want to tap. On the side of the eyes are for anger, liver points, frustration, irritation. And so I was just doing the basic affirmations last time because people are more comfortable with that, but my students all know this and they totally attest to the power of this is predictive questions. There might be some information in the description here, but what it is. And you can learn more. There's people that teach this. Noah St. John is one of the most popular ones. And, you know, it's interesting. You think about it. We're always asking questions, but oftentimes it's not the right question. We're asking things like, I wrote some notes. Why am I always late? Why can't I make more money? Why can't I lose weight? Why can't I attract a love partner into my life? So see how we're asking these questions and what that is doing. When you ask a question, it bypasses, this is what I understand by the science, it bypasses the conscious mind because you're asking a question, it goes straight to the subconscious. So if you want to keep being not on time, you would say, why am I always late? And then you're always going to get that because the subconscious is hearing it. However, let's say you had a question like, why am I always on time? There we go. Why, now let's go to some topics that people are always interested in. The money one. Why does money come to me easily and abundantly? Use the word money. When you say, why am I so abundant? The universe may think that's you're abundant with junk. You know, collect a lot of stuff, or abundant with pounds, you know, and so you want to be specific. Why am I so rich? Why am I so wealthy? Why does money come to me from known and unknown sources? One of my favorites, known and unknown sources. So basically, there's a lot more to this, and I wish we had more time because we're almost up with our time. And then I'll answer some questions if you have some questions. And why, okay. Two really important ones. If you're feeling anxiety, and this is one I talked to everybody at this center was, why am I so calm and relaxed? Calm and relaxed. That's what you want. Why do I sleep so deeply, peacefully? Why do I have such a harmonious relationship with my spouse or my children? You know, especially right now, I can only imagine. I don't have kids or people in my house. And so there's none of this, but oh my gosh, if I had 3 little children running around and a husband or partner, you know, you're all in the same house. It's like camping and you're stuck in a tent. And okay, so you want to say, why do I have a harmonious relationship with my children? And for the other one I love, because it covers everything, is why does everything always work out for me? Why does everything always work out for me? Say that with me. Why does everything always work out for me? Aho. So the more you focus on these things, just try it. Just try it this week. Something that's bothering you, or if you're not sleeping, why do I sleep deeply? If you just said, I sleep deeply, well, your conscious mind is saying, that's not true. Not sleeping at all. So you want to say, why do I sleep deeply? And the next time you catch yourself saying the negative, like, why does this keep happening to me? Look at that again and flip it to the positive of what you want. Because the most important thing I learned with Qigong and from my Hawaiian teachers was that energy flows where the mind goes. Whatever you put your attention on is going to expand. So if we keep saying things we don't want, like, why can't I lose weight? Well, guess what? Weight is going to expand. So you say, why am I so healthy? And healthy is good. And love the way I look. Or why am I so happy with who I am? Which is even better because it doesn't matter what we look like. It matters how we feel. The feeling is the most important thing. All right, so we've been on for half an hour and let's see if I have some questions. Hi, Marina and everyone. Oh, I started smiling a lot. You know, the movement, yeah. I love that song and the movement made me feel happy. Wilma, thank you. An exchange of DNA. Yeah, very cool. Why does everything always work out for me? You know what? I've forgotten to do these things. I used to do them all the time. And my students who are out there here in LA know that because they're like, this sounds weird, but after they got used to it, they notice. And if you're watching right now, you better put a comment down saying, yes, it worked for me. Do it. All right, everybody. I think that's all. And unless you have a question that's coming up, so all of these things I do in my morning class that you can find the information on whitefeatherwellness.com. And it's called Maha 9, but I'm going to change that. We do 9 exercises that are all energy medicine exercises I learned from Donna Eden's program that I mix together with Qigong and actually Ho'oponopono too. And I do the tapping with the statements. You know, why do I let go of anger and frustration? Why do I trust in the process of life? You know, why do I move forward with courage? So I do this every day. Then we do movement. So I think I'm changing it to Chi Flow Movement. Chi Flow Movement. So look on my website for online classes. We do it Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock. And we also meditate at 5 o'clock, and it's super, super affordable. So I'd love to see you, and thank you so much again for tuning in. And let's see if anybody, yes, it worked for me. Lots of hearts. Oh, you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. And hui ho until we meet again.